I thought about taking a break today. Then I read an article, or, well, not really read the article, but a news title about a 12-year-old who not only wrote his own book, but he also owns two businesses. So that was my motivation for today. That was my motivation, was just to keep working, keep striving. Because I don't own two businesses and I don't have a book of my own. I'm still working for somebody. I haven't generated revenue or assets for myself. So that was my motivation for today. MLS teams, what is your motivation for today? We're 10 days away from decision day. And even though there are some teams that have been eliminated already from playoff contention, you still have something to be motivated to. There's still something for you to be motivated for. As a team, maybe not. But you individually, as an MLS player, yes. DC United, Houston, San Jose, for example. All three of these teams, all three of you, players who play for those teams have new coaches, new coaching staff, new coaching regimes, and probably new front office, new management coming during this off season too. So this basically means a lot of you players that play for DC United, Houston, and San Jose, you probably won't be playing for those same teams next season. That means you should use these final two games, the last lap of the MLS season, to audition for other teams. You are auditioning for another MLS team, or a USL Championship team, or a Canadian Premier League team, or an English Football League team, or a team in the Netherlands, or a team in Poland, or South America. You guys are auditioning for other teams. So you got to use these last two games as just preparation for the next phase of your soccer career. Some of you may be thinking about retiring from soccer. So you can use these last two games as the end of a chapter in your life. You're closing the book on one chapter of your life and getting ready to move on to the next phase of your other life. And then there are some of you that are on DC United, Houston, and San Jose. You're young, and the team is considering to keep you next year. So you got to use these last two games as time to mature, because the team is going to be looking towards you guys, the guys that will be returning next season, as the leaders of the team. So you young guys that are going to be returning to DC United, San Jose, Houston, Toronto, you guys got to mature. Now, for the teams that still have a chance to make decision day, there's one team in particular that's below the playoff line, and they have a chance to get in. They're going to need some help. They're going to need the two teams that's above them to lose or draw, and they definitely have to win their last two games. And the team I'm talking about is Atlanta United. Listen, MLS, it's not your fault for the fall of Atlanta United this season. But similar to what I said last year about LA Galaxy and LAFC missing a playoff, that it should never happen again during this decade, the same goes for Atlanta. Atlanta is needed, not only for the Eastern Conference, but for the entire MLS as a whole. Atlanta United has the largest attendance of fans, the largest fan group of any MLS team. They have the largest fan group in the league. And this is the decade where you're showcasing yourself to the American public. You're introducing yourself to the American public. Atlanta United needs to be one of those faces that you introduce to the American public. The American public needs to get used to seeing Atlanta United, the largest fan base in American soccer. Therefore, it is very important for your brand, MLS, for Atlanta United to make the playoffs. So MLS, you have to do your part. Now, I'm not saying that you should cheat for Atlanta United these last 2 games of the season. But what I'm saying is you need to make sure, you need to provide every opportunity these last 2 games, starting this week against New England and next week against NYCFC, to make sure that Atlanta United win those 2 games. I repeat, I'm not saying that you should cheat for Atlanta United, but you need to make sure, you need to provide an opportunity. You need to make sure that Atlanta United has every opportunity to win these next 2 games. I don't want to see any damn draws, Atlanta United. Listen, and this is for a lot of MLS teams in general. I'm tired of the damn draws. I want to see more teams play to win the game. These last 2 games of the season, play to win the damn game. Listen, I understand you want to take draws, early in the season, like in the first half of the season. That's fine, because you got CCL, US Open, international breaks. There's a lot going on early in the season. So I understand the draws early in the season. But these last 2 games, you specifically Atlanta United, I don't want to see any damn draws. You need to be in the playoffs. The MLS needs Atlanta United in the playoffs every year for the rest of this decade. Yes, Philadelphia Union is the best team in the East this year. And NYCFC is also one of the top teams in the East. But Atlanta United is the face of the Eastern Conference. When it comes to brand and fan support, Atlanta United is the face of the East. The 2 LA boys are the face of the entire MLS, the LA boys and Seattle. But when it comes to East, MLS East, Atlanta is the face of the East. In Atlanta United, you need to use these last 2 games and if you make the playoffs, you need to use it to remind us. I know earlier this season, I said that when you play Philly earlier this year, that Philly should pull the plug. That was my motivation to Philly. Philly did their part. They did their part. They tried to pull the plug. But Atlanta United, you have hung in there. You have fought back. You are a warrior. The thing that hurts you the most, Atlanta United, your players are playing individually. Your players have been playing individually all season long. Your players have not been for the team. They have not been playing for the team. They have been using this season to build up their stats and to create potential highlight tapes for the national team, that the individual country that they want to play for, and the national team. It was just too much individualism on this Atlanta United team this year. Players not creating plays for each other. Players are not creating great assists, not creating great pass. Players not playing team defense. It was just too much individualism from Atlanta United this season. Whenever I watched an Atlanta United game this year, I just saw too much individualism, not a lot of team ball. That needs to change these last 2 games, Atlanta United. Atlanta United, look, I know a lot of you guys individually, y'all got potential to be, European and South American stars someday. But when we're watching an MLS game, we don't give a damn about your individual goals of playing in Europe and South America. We want to see Atlanta United be good. We want to see Atlanta United be great, because Atlanta United is the face of the East. And when Atlanta United performs well, it is good for the MLS. When Atlanta United is playing bad, it is bad for the MLS. So you, Mr. Home Depot, you need to go and tell those players the importance of playing for Atlanta United. Because a lot of these players, a lot of the current players on this roster, they don't know the importance of playing for Atlanta United. They have their own individual goals and their own individual aspirations. It's nothing wrong with that, but once it starts to affect the team, that's when it becomes a problem. Sorry, Atlanta United fans. Head coach, head manager, Gonzalo Pineda, is not the problem. I've come to realize that he's not the problem. At first, I was on board with you. I'd agree with you that he was the problem. But after further investigation, he's not the problem. The problem has been the players. Too much individualism on that team. Guys don't care about each other. Everybody has their own individual goals to play for their national country in time for the World Cup. They don't care about MLS titles. They don't care about MLS Cup title, Supporter Shield, US Open Cup, CCL. They don't care about that. They just care about themselves. And that's why Atlanta United, it's possible that y'all going to miss the playoffs because of that. Too much individualism. So you, Mr. Home Depot, you need to go into that locker room. You need to have a meeting with the players if you haven't done so already. And remind them who they're playing for. One of the most prestigious teams in the MLS. And when it comes to Eastern Conference, Atlanta United is the most prestigious team in the Eastern Conference. It's not Philadelphia and it's not NYCFC. However, those two teams, depending how this season ends and next season, they could overtake you, Atlanta United, as being the most prestigious team in the East. So, listen, MLS, during this decade, we need to see Atlanta United in the playoffs. No, I don't mean to be disrespectful to you, Orlando. You got a national title in the US Open Cup, but you're not on Atlanta's level. Because you see, with Atlanta United, it's more than championships. The market, the television market, and the fan support. Orlando, you're not touching Atlanta when it comes to that right now. Neither is Charlotte, neither is Nashville, neither is Miami. So MLS, I'm not telling you to cheat. You have to give Atlanta United every opportunity to win these last two games. And this message is specifically to you, pro refs. Don't screw them over. Don't screw them over. Because during this decade, we are going to have to reach to a time in the MLS where we'll throw parity out the door. And I'm going to talk more about that in the offseason. We need to see the biggest teams with the biggest fan support in the biggest markets in the playoffs every year during this decade.
Moving forward with better days ahead. The battle was attrition, kept running hard like a cheetah on pursuit. The way I play made others look the loop, so I stand tall. I gave my all and I have no regrets. The battle was attrition, kept running hard like a cheetah on pursuit.